What's up, Star Wars nerds? Welcome to another episode of Brett on Fett. On today's episode, I'll be reviewing the brand new Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati figures for the Vintage Collection. Plus, I'm going to go over the reveals from Hasbro's recent May the 4th Pulse livestream. Let's get to it. Welcome back to the channel. This is episode 116 of Brett on Fett, and the much anticipated Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati figures from the Ahsoka series have finally arrived for the Vintage Collection, so I want to review both of those figures for you guys today. But first, I want to acknowledge that it is May the 4th. I want to wish all of you a happy May the 4th day. And in honor of May the 4th, Hasbro recently had another Pulse Fanstream to have some interesting reveals for the Black Series, but especially for the Vintage Collection. So I want to run through those real quickly just to give you guys my thoughts. All right, so like I said, the May the 4th fan stream actually came this past Friday on May the 2nd. All right, so go ahead and start with the Black Series reveals. And first up, they announced this repack of Aayla Secura in that Revenge of the Sith packaging. This is a Walmart exclusive, and it's a repack, but it does come with that motion lightsaber blade, and I really don't know how I feel about these. Some images it looks really good, some angles I think it looks a little bit silly, but probably a good choice to get out there as a repack, you know, to get those Order 66 scene Jedis out there. And speaking of Order 66 and Aayla Secura, they announced Clone Lieutenant Gale. He is part of the 327th Star Corps under Bly, and they are the ones that take out Aayla Secura upon receiving Order 66, and he looks really cool. I think he'll look great along Bly, although he is on that new clone body. I'm pretty sure Bly is on the old version, but I think the differences are subtle enough that it won't matter. It would be really nice to see the Vintage Collection get some of these Episode 3 clones the Black Series has, such as Bly, Bakara, and now Gale. But for Black Series fans, I think this is a nice addition to your collection of clones. They also announced another Army Builder 2-pack for the Black Series, this one being from Rogue One. It is the Shore Trooper and the Death Trooper, and I think this one makes sense to put these two together since both appear in the Battle of Scarif. The Death Trooper version that's included is the Specialist, which hasn't been released in a while since a 3-pack they came out with a long time ago. But that's okay because you can remove his shoulder pouch to have regular Grunt Death Troopers alongside him. So this is a pretty cool pack, I guess. Next up, they also announced the Black Series is getting an all-new Sand Trooper from A New Hope, and spoiler alert, this got announced for TVC as well, and thank goodness, because I would have been furious if the Black Series announced an all-new Sand Trooper ahead of the Vintage Collection when we're in the middle of that Return to Tatooine campaign and we've all been clamoring for a TVC Sand Trooper. But he looks good. He's on the new Stormtrooper body. He comes with an all-new blaster rifle that looks pretty cool, and the mold for the backpack looks great, so this is a great release for Black Series fans. And my actual favorite reveal for the Black Series from this fan stream is a repaint of the Magna Guard coming in that Revenge of the Sith packaging, which it never came in because they never released the Magna Guard in that particular line. But what I love about this figure is this metallic blue paint. Even though it's not canon to actual Episode 3, I think this is kind of inspired from the Clone Wars. So that's kind of weird that they chose to use this for the Revenge of the Sith packaging. Hasbro just does weird things sometimes like that. But this droid looks fantastic, and I gotta say, for the first time since I stopped collecting Black Series, this is probably the most tempted I've been to pick up a Black Series figure because I just love droids, and I just love the way this Magna Guard looks with that blue metallic paint. It is very cool, and may take quite a bit of willpower for me to not pick this one up. All right, let's switch over to the Vintage Collection reveals, starting with this very interesting special action figure 3-pack called the Stormtroopers of the Empire, and this one's going to come with a Snowtrooper Commander, a Sand Trooper, and a Scout Trooper. Now, the Scout Trooper here is probably the biggest surprise, at least to me personally, because we just got that Scout Trooper a year ago with the Return of the Jedi campaign that came with the speeder bike. And they wanted to put this one out there to update the hips to barbell hips, which is good. It was just really weird they didn't go ahead and do that before they released that speeder bike set. And yeah, it is a little bit difficult to get that Scout Trooper posed on the speeder bike with those ball hinge joints. So I guess this is a good thing, but it's still just kind of a ho-hum reveal. I didn't think we really needed it that much. Of course, the Sand Trooper is a great release. I've been clamoring for a Sand Trooper for a while, so very happy to see this out. Now, I would have preferred this come out with an army builder pack with maybe multiple colored pauldron sand troopers at once, and maybe they'll still do that. But I want multiples of the orange pauldron sand trooper, but I don't necessarily want multiples of these other troopers that come with this set. So I think for now I'm just going to buy one and really hope they come out with an army builder pack just for sand troopers later on. By the way, the backpack looks really cool, and I think they put just enough sandy dirt weathering on this trooper so he's not too clean like the very first TVC Sand Trooper we got, and he's not overly dirty like the second TVC Sand Trooper we got. I think it's a good balance. And finally, I think the Snow Trooper Commander is a very cool release. Glad to see they're making use of that new awesome Snow Trooper to give us the Commander. Compared to the regular Snow Trooper, he's cleaner. He doesn't have so much weathering on his legs. He doesn't have the backpack. He's got his Commander rank badge, and he actually has a different helmet mold from the regular Snow Trooper, which is pretty cool. This one, it's like straighter. It doesn't have like as many wrinkles. And so I think that's pretty cool that they went through the trouble to make a different one for the Commander so he just kind of stands out a little bit better. So very cool release for this guy. And keep in mind, this release is a Pulse exclusive, so you can only pre-order it from Hasbro Pulse, and the pre-orders go up on May the 4th at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next up, another one I didn't see coming is they're re-releasing the regular Stormtrooper, the VC-231, but they've got him on an alternative card back, which I think is really cool. And I think it's a great idea to keep re-releasing the Stormtrooper. The only thing unusual about this is they've not updated his hips with the barbell hips, and they had just gotten through talking about how they wanted to get the Scout Trooper back out there with barbell hips, but then they didn't turn around and do that for the Stormtrooper. Now, it's a great Stormtrooper. That is the only weakness probably with that Stormtrooper, is the barbell hips not being there, but it's not a huge deal to me, and I am glad that they're getting it out there with an alternative card back for us carded collectors to collect. And it is a very cool card back. I really do like that film out on the card back, and so I am totally fine with this. Let's keep getting Stormtroopers out there. I firmly believe we should always have Stormtroopers available to pick up for new collectors and to just keep building up our armies of Stormtroopers as well. Next up, we finally got a look at the Ben Obi-Wan Kenobi figure. We've known for a while this one was coming, and Hasbro did not disappoint with this figure. Now, they've put him on that classic original Ben Kenobi card back, the one with the error where he's got the yellow lightsaber and it looks like he's falling backwards. Pretty weird film out, but it is a classic one, and this was the right move to release Ben Kenobi on this original card back first. And then later on, if they want to, they could put out that other alternate card back image, the one where he's like facing forward, which is clearly a better card back, but it's the alternate one. So I'm glad they're putting him on this card back first. I would like to see that alternate card back later though. And the figure itself looks amazing. I love everything about this Obi-Wan. I think this is a definitive version. I think we're going to be very happy when we get this guy in hand. The head sculpt looks awesome. It looks like Alec Guinness to me, and I like the cloth goods. Everything seems to be tailored appropriately. He even looks really good without his Jedi robes on. And I think this figure is going to just go very well with the all-new Luke and the new Princess Leia. It's just going to match up really well with all of those Episode 4 figures we're getting. So very happy with Obi-Wan and all of the A New Hope mains that we've been seeing so far. Fingers crossed Han Solo is going to look equally excellent. And then, of course, we still need that all-important C-3PO. And finally, perhaps the most interesting reveal of the entire fan stream was this Cantina Adventure set, complete with an all-new cardboard cutout backdrop and Kenner color versions of 4 classic Cantina aliens, including Hammerhead, Walrus Man, Greedo, and Snaggletooth. And this is sure to be one of those TVC releases that TVC collectors are divided on. I think most TVC collectors will either absolutely love this release or hate it. And the ones that hate it, they probably just think it's, gimmicky and a waste of a release to put out these reprints repaints, and there's probably a number of collectors that feel like this sort of thing should just be left to the retro collection, but I happen to absolutely love this. I'm on that side of things. I love the nostalgia of this combined with the modern, fully articulated figures. I love this idea of doing the retro style backdrop, and I just really like those bright, vibrant Kenner colors. The Boba Fett they did, the Kenner Colors Boba Fett they did a couple years back is actually one of my favorite TVC releases of all time. I love that Kenner Colors Fett, and I think I'm really going to love some of these Kenner Color Cantina aliens. And we're getting them on the classic card back. So we've got the Hammerhead classic card back. You guys know I was very upset that they reveal the other Hammerhead on a deluxe card back. That was very wrong of them to do. It's still wrong, but it does help a little that we're at least going to get this classic card back on a standard 6x9 card back with the retro style colors. So I am a very happy camper with this. We're also finally getting the classic original Walrus Man card back. I was super jealous that Retro Collection was getting this, but we still had just a modern version of the card back with Walrus Man, so good to get that in the line. And we're getting the classic Greedo card back. As you know, the Greedo that's coming with the HasLab has got a new alternate card back. So I was pretty sure we were going to get the original one some way, somehow. And apparently this is how we're getting it, but I'm glad it's there. And then it's pretty cool with the blue Snaggletooth that we're getting a film out on the card back that is from the holiday special where you had a Snaggletooth in blue. Now the only thing disappointing is that Hasbro couldn't go through the trouble of giving us a new mold for Blue Snags where his shirt actually matched the one from the holiday special. That would have been really cool, but not surprising because this is just a repaint set. That's what they put it out as. So I would have been shocked actually if they gave us an all new Snags to match the look of his shirt from that film out. Overall, I think this is a fantastic release, especially with the Cantina HasLab coming. It's a great way to work in those classic Kenner card backs, and I just love the vibrant retro colors. If this is not your cup of tea and you think that TVC should only be focusing on the most screen accurate figures possible, I get it. But I just think these are a ton of fun, especially for those of us that grew up with Star Wars, especially for those of us that grew up with the original Kenner Star Wars. I'm definitely going to be buying 2 of these, one set to keep carded, one to have loose to display with that cool retro backdrop. Now keep in mind guys, this is another Hasbro Pulse exclusive product, so you can only pre-order this on Hasbro Pulse beginning on May the 4th, again at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that concludes the reveals for the Vintage Collection. Overall, I'm very excited about these releases, especially being an original trilogy fan. This was an all original trilogy fan stream for Vintage Collection, and I was just really happy to see an all new Sand Trooper and that the Obi-Wan looks great, and this Cantina Adventure set is going to be fun. Really enjoying this return to Tatooine campaign. Alright, so it's time to check out the new Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati figures for TVC. We're going to start with Baylan. Pretty cool looking card back. Interesting choice with the baby blue name pill. Not a lot of contrast there between the sky and that, but not too bad. The picture is okay. I would have preferred maybe a little bit different angle, but at least you got him with the lit lightsaber. That was key to have that awesome orange-red glow of that saber on there. Taking a look at the back, you see it is VC 355, and there's that baby blue back again. And yeah, pretty good card back. Not the very best it could have been in my opinion, but good enough. All right, so let's get this guy out of the packaging. All right, so here is Baylan and the accessories. He comes with an unlit saber hilt. Pretty cool looking saber. And here is the lit saber. They nailed the orange-red, and check out this hilt. This is a very cool hilt. One thing I noticed though, it's got a metallic silver on there, but the unlit version has a matte silver. So it's a little bit disappointing they skimped on the metallic on the unlit version because it looks so much better with that metallic. It just really pops like that. I guess they just figured they could save a little bit money only doing one or the other, but I would have preferred that the lit and unlit versions match exactly. All right, so let's take a look at the figure itself and check out this head sculpt. This thing is awesome. They nailed the likeness. The hair looks really cool. The beard looks good, but maybe more impressive than the head sculpt is the paint job on his armor. Check out the patina look on the armor that they've done. It's kind of a pale green. It looks so good. They did a great job. I love the gauntlet look, and check out the bright metallic green on his belt buckle. Very cool. I am really digging the paint job. He's got a soft plastic tunic, and look at the pattern on it. It's really cool. And it even has the end of his belt hanging down. That's actually part of the mold. And it was done well enough that actually when I first looked at the figure, I thought that was a separate piece. So I'm good with that. The lower leg guards look pretty good, and they've left enough opening there at the ankles for articulation. And there is a small peg hole just below the belt, so you can pop his unlit lightsaber on there. Alright, so let's run through the articulation. His head is on a ball joint, so plenty of rotation there. All good. His arm can get above level with his shoulder, which is great. The armor is not too intrusive there. He's got a ball hinge elbow, and it does get a little bit past 90 degrees. Basically right at 90 degrees. That's good enough. And then he's got a hinge wrist that rotate, and it's got the vertical type hinge there on the left hand, and that's going to be great for wielding his lightsaber. The crunch is right there at his belt, and let's see, we get a pretty good forward and pretty good back. That's actually better than a lot of figures have, so that's good. He's got the barbell hips, which is fantastic, and there is a swivel cut there at the upper thigh. All good. There's a ball hinge at the knee, and it does get 90 degrees, so that's good. And then you've got hinges at the ankles. The armor does not intrude too much, and it is rocker ankles, so that works nicely. So excellent, excellent articulation for this figure. And with all Force wielder figures, you want to make sure they pass the two-hand test, meaning they can hold a lightsaber with two hands, and Baylan holds this saber with two hands very easily, no problems whatsoever. So let's get him into some poses on the spinny spinny. So overall, I am really impressed with this Baylan Skoll figure. I think they nailed it. This is definitely going to be a top 5 figure of the year for me. I really only see 2 negatives with this figure. The first, as I mentioned before, is the lack of metallic paint on his unlit lightsaber. And the other thing I didn't mention before is that he's missing his cloak. They really should have included the cloak with this release. It really would have finished the figure off. Aside from that, this is a remarkable figure. Alright, so that's the master. Now let's look at the apprentice. Here is Shin Hati. Let's take a look at the card back. And this is a very nice card back, very cool. It's a very nice teal blue on the name pill, which does have more contrast than the Baylan name pill. And it's a very nice film out of Shin. Unfortunately, I think it makes her look like a very sweet young lady. She looks very nice. If you were not familiar with the story and you saw this photo, you would assume she is a good guy in the show. So I wish the film out had a more menacing look to her. But other than that, great looking card back. It is VC 356, and again, I really love this teal blue. It's one of my favorite colors, so I think this really works. Overall, great looking card back. I just wish they'd used a more menacing film out to be more consistent with the character of Shin. So here's everything out of the packaging. She comes with an unlit saber, and just like Baylan, I think they went with the matte silver finish on this one. But great looking hilt. I'm really digging the hilt. They nailed the orange reddish glow of the saber again, but man, check it out with the metallic silver. This may be one of my favorite lightsabers for a figure that I have seen. Really cool with that ivory grip and then the metallic silver, really digging it. Just wish they didn't do the same thing as they did with Baylan, going with the matte silver on the unlit version. Alright, so let's take a look at the figure. Let's start with the head sculpt, and I thought they did a pretty darn good job with this head sculpt. With the type of hair she has in the show, it's really difficult not to make that look like a mop on her head. I thought they did a pretty good job. It doesn't look too bad. It looks better than the Black Series version to me. I think her face sculpt looks good. It's definitely not a perfect match, but I think that actress's face is probably a difficult one to capture. A little more darker mascara around her eyes probably could have gone a long way though. The color of her pauldron, it has a very cheap plasticky look. It doesn't match the metallic and weathered look of the rest of the armor on her arm, so it's kind of disappointing. I really wish they had painted the pauldron the same way they painted the rest of the armor, because the rest of the armor looks really nice. The molding for her shirt looks good. You've got some really nice patterns there, especially on the back side. Looks really good. Of course, her skirt is all soft plastic, and it's like 2 different layers, but they are stuck together. Very similar to what was done on Baylan Skoll. Here's a look at the legs underneath. You can see she's got some knee guards there that are painted with that same metallic silver, and then shin guards, and then the leg guards that go all the way around. Very similar to Baylan's as well. She's got a peg hole there right below the belt on her left side, and her lightsaber goes in there nicely. So let's go ahead and step through the articulation. Her head is on a ball joint. However, the way her hair sculpt works, it's really kind of restricting her head movement. She can't look up and down very easily. So it's a little bit restricted in that manner. Her arm can get well above the shoulder, but doesn't stay above because of that pauldron does get in the way. It's got a standard ball hinge there at the shoulder, ball hinge at the elbow, and she gets just very slightly past 90, pretty much 90, just like Baylan. And let's see, at the wrist it swivels, but there is no hinge, and that is disappointing. I was trying to remember, I thought there was at least one female figure that did have hinges, but I could be wrong about that. If you know of one that has hinges, let me know in the comments because I'm struggling to remember. The crunch is a little bit limited on the forward and back. Let's check out the leg articulation. She does have barbell hips, which is excellent, and the high thigh cut for rotating there, which is good. She's got a ball hinge at the knee. It does get 90 degrees, which is good. That rotates fine. And then at the ankle, she has the standard ball hinge with the rocker ankles, and her leg guards do not get in the way of the ankle articulation. So that is all good. Overall, pretty good articulation, except for the lack of hinges at the wrist and the limited head movement. So she does pass the two-hand lightsaber grip test, although I have to say it was a little trickier getting her to hold it. Her hands are a bit rubbery, and with no hinges on the wrist, it does make it a bit trickier. Next, I wanted to bring in the Baylan figure to compare the heights of the two figures, and I'm glad to see that she is clearly much shorter than Baylan as she is in the show. However, when I pulled up images from the show, I realized she's actually a little bit taller than that. The top of her head kind of comes up close to Baylan's ear, so to speak. So she's clearly past his shoulders, but on the action figure, the top of her head is kind of in line with Baylan's shoulder. So she may be a little bit too short, but I'd rather be a little bit too short than nearly the same height as Baylan, as what happened with the Black Series release of these two figures, where I think they actually made the Baylan too short. That was kind of embarrassing, but it's not a big deal. As long as you can see there is a height difference, I'm good with it. And here they are posing together, and they do make an awesome pair of figures. So let's get Shin on the spinny. So overall, I think this is a very solid figure for Shin Hati. What keeps her from being an excellent figure though is I think the face sculpt is a little bit off and could use a little more darkness around the eyes, and the lack of paint on the pauldron not matching the rest of her armor is very disappointing, as is the lack of hinges on the wrist. Alright, so that's going to do it for this episode of Brett on Fett. Let me know in the comments what you think about the new Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati figures, and what you thought about some of the reveals from the most recent fan stream. Thanks for checking out this video. As always, thank you so much to my subscribers. Don't forget you can also follow me on Instagram. Take care, and we'll see you next time.